This is your Adventist News, a service of the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I'm Latoya Burrows. Coming up in this week's broadcast, women pause to pray and youth ignited for God. These stories and more in this week's Adventist News. The women of our conference participated in the monthly Pause and Pray midday session to close out the month of July as their prayers focused on unity among believers. The women united in prayer and song, and the spoken word was presented by Valencia Isnord of the Francophone Seventh-day Adventist Church. She reminded the women not only to be united in love, but for the mission of the church.
To carry out this mission successfully, we have to be intentional about it. We have to plan and play our part well. Unity is essential to accomplish the mission of the church. Evangelism is that mission. We have to evangelize the world. To do so effectively, unity is very important. Unfortunately, in the church, some believers are united only to assassinate each other's character. They are joined to assassinate each other's dreams. They are united to assassinate each other's views and opinions. They join themselves together to criticize a sister, a brother, a leader, or even a pastor. They are united in doing something wrong. My sisters, we are not called to be united in destructive criticism. We are called to love, to encourage, to support, to lift up one another's spirit, and to proclaim the message of salvation to this dying world.
The third annual Youth Retreat Congress, Ignite 2021, happened last weekend under the theme Situationships, the 5S formula. The event was held virtually for senior youth ages 18 to 35 years old. Parisha Ferguson has more on this.
This year's Ignite took a new twist, where the sessions featured presentations from young professionals from within our local conference. The meetings were wrapped up in songs of praise that led attendees into a meaningful worship experience. The focus for the sessions was on mental health, as the speakers spoke on situationships. The guest keynote speaker was Lorenzo Roll, a psychologist and Bahamian who resides in Canada. In engaging his audience, he referenced the story of Samson and Delilah to remind us that it is only God who gives us the true desires of our hearts.
What Samson was really looking for, what he was really searching for, was someone to love him. Someone to love him the way God had loved him from he was in his mother's womb. And you know, sadly, we will do anything for that. Sadly, we'll tell them the secret to our strength for love. Sadly, we will give them access to our bank accounts for love. How much further will you go in this situationship? How much further will you go in this entanglement before you realize and recognize that it's enough? It's enough giving, because only God is love. Only God can give you the real and true desires of your heart. Only God can take you to the water of life, the living water that you can drink. Only God can answer all of the questions that you have. Only God can truly show you love.
Michael Mackey, a specialist in child development and family studies from the Grantstown Church, presented on the risks of situationships as it relates to adolescents and young adults.
What separates a situationship from a more conventional dating relationship is all that is left up in the air. Your boundaries, your expectations, the future. Everyone has their own emotions, motives, and history. For adolescents, they are a bit more susceptible to getting into these situationships because as a child approaches adolescence, his or her emotions become more intense. How do we know that? Just look at their actions. It's not from slamming doors or sometimes being intense or sulking when they don't get their way. The limbic area of their brain helps to create this emotion, and it contributes so much more influence on their higher level reasoning. That's why a lot of times when you ask a young person something, they will say, well, I feel as though blah, blah, blah. It's like their brains are pushing them to think, I feel it is, so therefore it is.
C. Miguel Scavala, a clinical psychologist from the Bethany Church, presented on our developmental stages, encouraging the youth to be careful of false truths.
Being a Nazarite man, Samson was an Israelite, which meant that he was a child of God and a man that was expected to be fully consecrated in serving God. Samson was to abstain from a life of alcoholism, and he was to never have a haircut because that's where his strength lied in God. Finally, Samson was not to be around dead bodies. But he found himself with Delilah, a dead body, who did not respect any of these things. The modern-day Nazarite is a man and woman that totally follows what lifestyle Jesus lived. So we have it where Samson was a man desiring to return to his roots and begin living right by living by God's standards and not by his own moral guide. So how do we compare to Samson? Do we compare to Samson? Samson deviated from his calling trying to seek a normal life when he was called to be abnormal for the glory of God. We all often utilize pleasure as a filler and as a coping mechanism when our lives cannot find true meaning. You know how we go. We try to justify our actions when we live a life of sin, saying that God will love me anyway. Only God could judge me. God knows my heart. I was a born sinner. God will forgive me anyway or anyway. And the list can go on. All these sayings are not false, but we use them sometimes to form a false truth to embrace a reality that we were not called to embrace.
Jamie Cooper, a psychologist from the New Providence Church, spoke on trauma and triggers in the home that children often take into adulthood.
In our society, showing emotion is seen as a sign of weakness and is also normal for a specific gender. Parents often tell their younger boys, don't cry, you're a big boy. Men don't cry. And when they grow up, we wonder why they don't express or show emotions, because this is how we raised them. We taught them no emotion means strength. Even when they are older and guys decide to express themselves, we call them too feminine or gay. Another one is not acknowledging or validating your child's feelings, thoughts, or cry for help. Parents often tell their children they don't have the right to feel what they feel because they are children. When we tell our parents we are stressed, tired, or feeling sad in that moment, they often brush us off or throw in our faces that we don't pay bills. They force their child to keep it bottled inside. And depending on how much is bottled up, that child can become depressed, suicidal, or simply just closed off from the world. Because what's the point in expressing how I feel if no one is listening?
This has been Parisha Ferguson for the SBC Media Network.
We'll be back with the upcoming events in our conference.
Hi, I'm Denise Johnson, professional assistant working in Stewardship Ministries at the Inter-American Division, and I am inviting you to be part of the Stewardship Congress that our division will celebrate on Sabbath, August 14th, starting at 3:30 in the afternoon. God will provide is the theme of our Congress. Yes, my friends, God will provide in these trying times. Participate and receive spiritual encouragement and reaffirmation of your faith in the Word of God. Sabbath, August 14, 3:30 p.m. via your conference and Union's media site and through the Inter-American Division's YouTube and Facebook sites. There is a place exclusively for you. See you then.
Welcome back to your Adventist News. Here's what's coming up in the South Bahamas Conference. The Bible Connection held by the Youth Department continues now into the SBC Finals for Adventurers, Pathfinders, and Adventist Youth. The events will be held virtually on August 7th, 14th, and 21. Watch the logos or inquire with your church's youth department on how you can connect with these events. Bahamas Academy continues to provide excellence in Christian education here in Nassau, and they would like the public to note that the final sitting for the entrance examination for the 2021-2022 school year will be held on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. Applicants for grades 1 through 10 are invited to apply online at bahamasacademy.org. Please do so no later than Monday, August 9th, 2021. For additional information, feel free to contact the school at 242-461-2100. The Inter-American Division of Seventh-day Adventists will be hosting a Stewardship Congress on Sabbath, August 14th, 2021, beginning at 3:30 p.m. under the theme, God Will Provide. All members are encouraged to participate in this Congress and receive spiritual encouragement and affirmation of faith. You can tune in via the Inter-American Division's Facebook and YouTube sites, as well as through our conference website. And a special called constituency meeting of the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists is scheduled to be held on August 15, 2021 at the Hillview Seventh-day Adventist Church at number 134 Tonic Williams Darling Highway, beginning at 1 p.m. The special constituency meeting is called to vote on one of 3 proposals in relation to the former Bahamas Academy site. This special meeting is for duly appointed delegates only. Registration for these delegates will be held on Sunday, August 15th, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., also at the Hillview Seventh-day Adventist Church. For more upcoming events and information on the events mentioned, please also visit our conference website at www.southbahamasconference.org, where you can view our news update along with other programming from our cable channel ATV 658. Read the weekly logos and the Adventist page publication from the Nassau Guardian.
I am Chelsea Gibson, a gem from the Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church, and this is your tip for today. The teenage years are a period of intense physical, emotional, and mental intellectual growth. It's also a time when your child develops habits that can last a lifetime. You can help your teenager reach optimal growth and development by instilling lifestyle habits that support a healthy and happy body. Eat your fruits and veggies. It is recommended that teens get at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables each day. Fruits and vegetables provide important vitamins and minerals your teen body needs to grow and function properly. Get moving. Exercise does more than burn calories. Engaging in physical activity helps keep the heart and lungs strong and produces endorphins, which are chemicals that improve mood. Watch what you drink. Your body is almost 2/3 of water, so staying hydrated is most important. Teenagers should aim to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water per day. The number increases for teens who engage in sports and are especially active. Other good sources of fluids include 100% fruit juice and low-fat milk. Sugary and caffeinated beverages should be eliminated from the diet completely as they provide excess sugar and empty calories. If you don't snooze, you lose. Teenagers need at least 9 hours of sleep each night to function at their best during the day. It sounds easy enough, but with early morning start, late afternoon practices, and hours of homework, getting enough sleep can be a challenge. Set a regular bedtime that allows for 9 hours of sleep before your teen has to get up for school. Your teen should also engage in at least an hour of quiet time prior to bedtime. The goal is for all electronics to be turned off at night so that the brain and body can relax. Remember, 1 Corinthians 10 verses 31. Therefore, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. I am Chelsea Gibson, and this has been your health tip courtesy of the Adventist Television. Remember, God wants us to prosper and be in good health.
We go now to our news feature from around the world with the Adventist News Network.
As the rain continues to pour in the Philippines, many parts of the country have felt its impact as homes and villages are submerged in a flood brought on by the seemingly endless downpour.
ADRA Philippines was alerted by the Adventist Community Services Director of the North Central Mindanao Conference that there were flash floods on the evening of July 13 in Cagayan de Oro City.
According to the city government of Cagayan de Oro, the flooding was caused by the rise in the water levels of rivers and their tributaries in the neighboring province of Bukidnon due to heavy rains.
Bukidnon is in an elevated area, and Cagayan de Oro serves as its primary natural basin. The floods were unexpected in Cagayan de Oro, where the weather was relatively fair throughout the day. Floodwaters swept away multiple houses, while hundreds of others were left in up to waist-deep water.
Roads were impassable, leaving vehicles stranded on the highway for hours. The initial report from local ACS partners showed there are more than 1,000 affected families in barangays Cugman and Tablan, located near the river.
Based on the interviews conducted by the district pastor and his team, the immediate needs are cleaning materials, shelter repair materials, food, and clothing. They also added that most of the affected families have now returned to their homes to secure their belongings and prevent COVID-19 transmission, since the evacuation centers were crowded. Distribution of relief goods was held on Tuesday, July 27.
The Adventist Church in the Southern Asia Pacific region asks that you keep all the ACS volunteers in your prayers as they assess, validate, and organize for this relief distribution.
That brings us to the end of our Adventist news from the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Please feel free to share what is happening at your church by sending us your news stories and upcoming events by email to sbcadventistnews@gmail.com. To view a rebroadcast of the Adventist News along with other programming, or to keep in touch with what's happening in our conference, visit our conference website at www.southbahamasconference.org. Like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as our YouTube channel. And on behalf of the production team of Adventist Television, Channel 658, we thank you for watching our news broadcast. I'm Latoya Burrows for the SBC Media Network. Have a happy Sabbath.